Now, there are two forms of progression in love. One form of progression is limited at the sixth sphere. So I'm going to draw a line across there, and I'm going to draw little sort of dots down here. Bear in mind, these dimensions are not separated like with a line down the middle. Right? I'm just representing it diagrammatically. There are two paths of progression. And the two paths of progression are called the natural love path and the divine love path. So I need to define natural love and define divine love, yes? Natural love is the love that you emanate from your own soul, that is totally under your control, using your free will. Divine love is the love that God emanates from her soul and can give to you as an individual. Do you see the difference? One of these types of love is coming from within yourself. The other type of love is coming from God. You can develop, if you develop in divine love, you will automatically have to develop in natural love as well. So the divine love path, if we can call it that, encompasses the natural love path of progression as well. Now, if you decide to be self-reliant, then you are going to automatically be on the natural love path of progression. Because to connect with God, you need to become God-reliant. If you are very intellectual and deny your emotions, you will remain on the natural love path. If you decide to become emotional and focus on your emotions, you have a better chance of being on the divine love path. If you decide that you are God, you will be on the natural love path. Can you see why? How can you feel an emotion of love from a being external to yourself when you think you're that being? Can't, can you really? On this path you will say, I am God's child. So therefore we are all brothers and sisters. Okay. Can you start seeing a picture of what the two paths are of development? Both paths involve the dirty word nowadays called morals. Yes, God does have morals that are in harmony with her love. And you will feel them at some point in your development. So if you think you can lie, steal and cheat on any of these paths, you will find you will not be able to get on any of the paths, and you will find yourself in the first sphere in a state of stagnation until you work through those particular issues.
Briefly, what is the difference between self-reliant and God-reliant?
Self-reliance is when I only trust myself to determine truth. God-reliance is when I trust the relationship between myself and God to determine truth. Can you see the difference between the two? You can see that most of the time we want to do that because we don't trust anybody external to ourselves. How many of you feel that you really trust somebody? Even your partner. Right? It's hard to trust, isn't it? How do you know for certain what they're going to do? And this is the thing, when you become God-reliant, you begin to trust that relationship because of the emotions that are exchanged between the two of you.
Does everyone receive the same amount of divine love?
No. It's totally dependent on desire.
But that would be not equal. But
No.
Would God do this? God would just give everybody equal amount of opportunity and love.
You just filtered my answer through your emotions. Yeah? What did I actually say?
I don't know.
I said no to what question?
If everybody receives the same amount.
Okay. And what did I say was the answer? It was based on desire. God is wanting to give all of us the same amount of love.
Okay.
But it depends on your desire to receive it as to how much you will receive.
Free will.
Because of your free will. God is not going to force you to receive more than you want. To do that would be breaking God's own laws, and she will never do that. She never breaks her own laws. Okay? Right. So, on the divine love path, you can progress above the sixth sphere and you can process infinitely. And just briefly, what happens on the seventh sphere, above the seventh sphere, is you become born again. Now, you're not saying, oh, AJ, you're not a born again Christian. The soul gets transformed from a human soul into a soul with so much divine love in it that it's actually a different type of creature with different attributes and qualities. So that is the moment you become immortal as well. All right? It's the transformation of the soul, and that's why it's called born again, or the new birth. It's often referred to as in the spirit world.
What does that feel like?
And very hard to describe. There's a book in the DVDs that I've got there. There's a book by Robert James Lees called The Gate of Heaven, and in that book he attempts to describe. It's a spirit writing this book. He attempts to describe the process that he went through when he went through the transition of the seventh to the eighth sphere. And my suggestion is have a read of the 3 books that he's written, because he actually arrived in the spirit world in the second sphere, and it describes all of the things he learnt from that time onwards.
What was the title, sorry,
The writer is Robert James Lees, and the 3 books, the first one is called Through the Mists, the second one is called The Life Elysian, and the third one is called The Gate of Heaven.